Up next on the MARR Army Rock Show, making their first appearance on the MARR Army Rock Show is the band Sons of Fire, a San Diego-based band. I love the city of San Diego, man. We've got Bill the drummer with us. Their new album, Faded, came out on September 25th. Bill, welcome to the show.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having us, Rocky.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to have you guys on, and I've been listening to your record all day, so I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But for our listeners that maybe aren't familiar with you yet, give us a little bit of the story of who Sons of Fire are, the background.
Okay. Well, it's been a prior. We're all lifelong musicians. Sons on Fire was, I don't know if you were previously familiar with a band called Kicking Kate, but we were out probably 2009, 10, 11, back in the MySpace era. We were probably, between us in this moment and Hollywood Undead, we were probably three of the biggest unsigned bands at the time. And because of the success of MySpace, all of us got signed, and then we did the whole tour. We did one record with them, and we played with every band at that time. We were out with Disturbed, Seven Dust. We did all the Jägermeister music tours, Stone Sour, Stained, any band of that genre of modern rock we were out with, and it was going really well. And then, towards the end of it, we decided to take a little hiatus, and it ended up being permanent. And everybody kind of went their own separate ways. We're all based in San Diego, and our old singer moved to New York, and I came to Austin, and we kind of separated and let a couple of years go by. But the main three of us was actually Johnny, the bass player, and Chuck, and myself were from Kicking Kate, and then Darren was from a band called One Theory, and then you had Trevor, which was in another band. And it's a really weird culmination of how things happened. We all knew who Darren was for the last 10 years. We always said we wanted to, if something was going to happen, he had that it factor. He had that, I don't want to say Phil Anselmo meets Kid Rock meets Merle Haggard or meets, he was one of these guys, but he always played in heavy bands. Heavy. Screamo, hard metal bands, but there was always something about him that we're like, man, if something ever happened, we're going to grab this guy. And then we all separated, and then Chuck and Johnny and Trevor started Sons on Fire. It was a different name. I think they were going under 91 Proof, and this was probably 2 years ago. And really nothing really came about it. I wasn't part of it. Darren really wasn't part of it at that time. And then Johnny and Chuck came to me and said, what are you doing? What are we doing? There's something cool here. Let's put this together. So then I joined, and then I joined once I heard that they got Darren. I said, listen, if you guys can get Darren, I'm in, because I always wanted to play with him. And it's weird because we're all from different genres. I'm like the Motley and Seven Dust. I love the 80s stuff. Actually, we all do. We all love the 80s stuff. But I was more into the Seven Dust. Morgan Rose is a good friend and killer drummer. We grew up with Disturbed in Chicago. I'm from Chicago originally. So Darren was really heavy. Trevor was very country. Johnny's very 80s. Chuck is kind of all over the board with me. But when you put it together, it's weird because you got this screamo, heavy, hard singer that is actually kind of coming out on his own, and it's like almost like Dave Draymond with some of these stuff with Disturbed, where everybody knew him, Stupefy and all that, but when he starts singing, Song of Silence and some of these other things they're doing, you can actually hear his voice, and that's kind of like what it was with Darren. It's like let's just make these couple songs and see what happened, and it was like literally a blender of all different stuff. Nobody really was the same. Everybody's kind of different. We all have kind of the same tendencies, but if you ask people, all five guys, you ask them who their favorite bands are, it's all over the planet.
What's funny, they jumped. It almost jumps ahead in a question I had, which I usually go on over, but I'm going to jump ahead because I want to ask you about a tune that I think really encapsulates what you just said. Like I picked up on Paralyzed today, that it almost was like a southern feel to it. Like it almost had a little southern rock in it, didn't it?
And you know what's funny? You say that because every time somebody hears it, when I recorded it, I thought it reminded me of Green Day. Very punky. Wow. That's how I played the drum. I was like, I really want to get something driving punky. But then some people say, like you said, it's almost got like a country shuffle. Some people say it's punk. Some people say it's rock. So it's weird because if you ask 100 different people about the record, they're all going to give you a different answer, which is kind of cool because we're not pigeonholed into that one genre.
Yeah, so there's another tune I'm going to ask you about that actually was my favorite on the tune. I'll get to in a minute, but let me back up. I'm all out of order here, but that's cool. Let's talk a little bit about the Faded EP. Where did you record this, and who produced this for you?
Frank Torres produced it, and he's in a band in San Diego that we all, grew up with and kind of came up with out there. He's in a band called Unset. Great singer in his own right, but he's a great producer. And we used guys before. The Kicking Cake guy, we used the guy that did Korn and Foo Fighters, and I think he did a Last More Set, maybe some songs with them. And I think he did some of the bigger bands. We went to Signature Sound in San Diego. We spent all this money. We really wanted to go out and make it great. And this time we said, we're a hodgepodge of stuff. We want, the next it guy. We don't really want to follow the trends. We kind of want to give, the new guys coming up their chance. And we said, Frank's a great friend. He gets what we're doing. He really works well with the vocals. His band, like I said, is very Seven Dusty, and kind of I was into that, so I knew production-wise that what he did was always going to be good. And we just did everything new this time. We're new people, new band. We're not doing anything we did before. I mean, we did go back to the same team of marketing behind us and label and all that stuff. But, we recorded in San Diego, and that was recorded last year. And we basically had to sit on it for about 9 months and kind of keep it under wraps, but we're all going kind of nuts to wait to get it out. Now that they're starting to get some of the reviews out in your show and stuff, but I mean, every review we've got back has been positive. It's kind of blowing our minds a little bit because, we've all played this game. We've been doing this for a lot of years. And I mean, a lot of years. Some of us are older than others, and we've been through the whole gamut of things. And it's just refreshing to see that, we can still do this. We could play. The men could play in the boys' game at this time. It's you can never teach an old dog a new trick. The old dogs know the tricks, and the old dogs still have it. And it's we put our best foot forward in this thing, and the result is, I tell these guys, you guys don't get excited yet. I mean, we only have 1 millionth of the percent of the reviews we got back, but it's all positive. Everybody's like, Jesus, we knew it would be good, but when you write something, you don't know. It's really out of our hands at this point. I told them, I said, guys, we've done all we could at now. It's not like we can go reproduce anything. It's not like we can say, I wish I would have did this drum fill. I wish I would have put that lead in there. I wish I would have did this. It's done. Now it's up to the people to decide what's going to happen with this. And when these guys get, these type of reviews back, it's pretty rewarding for them. I mean, Darren's band made a nice splash. Trevor's band went in a previous band. I mean, Kicking Kate was obviously, we went farther down the line. Yeah. I mean, I would say we were mid-level. And we came out right around Pop Evil time and In This Moment time and Hollywood Undead time. Yep. Obviously, we went on to bigger things, and we didn't. But I think if we would have kept our pedal on the metal, we probably could have. But it was just, things happen. People separate, and you got to try something different. But, I mean, in terms of success, I think these guys they'll get the first taste of it really right with this.
Yeah, man, it's so hard to land there. Like you mentioned, some great band, good friends of the show, some of those folks, man, and all bands we love. But you're right, it's a tough one to get that one magical release sometimes. But
and Rocky, I mean, really, I mean, we got all the dice are against us right now. I mean, I guess what's weird with us is we're more of a business. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make this sound wrong. We're more of a business than we are a band, but we're obviously a band. But we've all been down the road, so we're all ultra experienced in this. And we have so much against us. The industry's changed. COVID is here. Yeah. It's an election year. You've got all the media taking up all the looting and the riots and all the stuff that's going on in this world. And now we're going to try and launch a record at this time where there is no touring. So it's we've got to do whatever we can to get the word out and do things and hope to God that the music, it really comes down to the music, that the music is good enough to carry us. And that's what we're banking on. We're banking on that, we've done all we can. The music's going to have to step up and speak for itself.
So let me ask you about my favorite tune on the record I came to, which was Just a Man. I think I came up with that as my favorite, and it was funny. We've already kind of touched on it. What I liked about it, though, I'll tell you, was that I felt like I was listening to a classic rock tune with the chorus, with the harmonies and all that, but then all of a sudden it kicks back to a modern rock tune all at the same time. So tell me a little bit more about that tune and how it came together.
Well, that's my favorite song on the record.
Nice.
That is, when I recorded that, it was very Alice in Chainsy, I thought, in the beginning. I wanted to do that kind of a jungle beat to it and make it really modern. But then when it kicks the way Darren's voice it's like a roller coaster. He's on a track with that, and he just goes up and down, and the band follows along, and it's tight. I mean, realistically, Rock, we've been probably, I think I've had less than a dozen rehearsals with the full band total. And we had 2 days of recording, and we've played one show.
Yeah, that's tough.
And the music speaks for itself. It's ultimately tight. And again, me not living there, and us sending, everybody's got studios at their house, and they're sending Pro Tools back and forth. But I mean, we're not really a traditional band. I mean, a lot of the bands these days aren't living in the same town. But for how much we've been apart, the songs really lend itself that we're a really tight band, and even live people. I mean, we played one show in San Diego. It was in February. Sold it out. The first show together, we sold it out.
Nice.
And it was tight. Everybody thought we'd been together for years. And at that point, like I said, I think we might have rehearsed as a full band less than a dozen times.
So we made it after our first live show this weekend, finally, since March. We make a pride of ourselves here at this show. We do 2 shows a week when things are kicking like normal. And when, I know you guys are itching. When do you think the timeline's like for you guys? Are you talking about it, or are you just going to hang on for
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk. I mean, obviously with Pavement, there's opportunities to do something with Puddle of Mud because they're on their label. Mark's band, The Outfit, he's got on the label. I mean, there's stuff for us to do with them. They've got Candlebox. They got Head P. There's a lot of bands. What's cool is when you're on a label that has other bands that are like you, it's kind of easy to put shows together.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of this isn't happening. So a lot of the radio stations that we're talking to are talking about doing virtual shows or going to the radio station and playing live, and they will stream it, to their listeners that way. So I guess, our first thing is we're just going to let this thing come out. Let the radio guys do what they do and see what kind of traction we get from that. But all the while, looking to see how in the heck you can get out there and do it. There's drive-in concerts that are happening out here, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's that's what we did this week. We went to Smith & Myers, Shinedown guys. Okay. It was our first drive-in concert, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't the same, but it wasn't bad, when you haven't had a show in 8 months.
Where are you located?
We're out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but that show was up in Scranton. So,
cool.
Yeah. Usually, when I say Lancaster, people go, "Oh, the Chameleon Club." I played it. It's usually.
I was just going to say that actually.
Almost always.
But, yeah. But they did a drive-in concert here. It was weird because it was like this huge festival stage, like you're looking at Ozfest or any of these Energy Rockstar Mayhem shows. A huge stage, but then you've got maybe 100 cars sitting outside listening to it. So in terms of the band, it's a little weird because you're looking out, you're seeing people in cars, but you're still able to play live. So it's a different vibe. I think, personally, politics aside, hopefully this all changes by November 4th and a lot of this stuff goes away and things change. But I'm thinking sometime the beginning of the year, the new year, probably get something out. I mean, if not, it would be some scattered shows here and there. I know some buddies of ours just played at Sturgis and did some live shows.
Yeah.
But it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go out, people look at you and say, you're not social distancing. And if you don't do it, you're like, this is a business. We're coming out with a product. You got to get it out there. I mean, you can do all these type shows you want and be on the radio, but unfortunately, getting those 1,000 kids or going on a bigger tour and you get thousands of kids to come out and listen to a show and see it. I mean, it multiplies that much faster, but unfortunately, we don't have that opportunity right now. So, you got to be able to bob and weave and think outside the box of what you're going to do.
No doubt about it, man. Well, hey, I've enjoyed talking to you. We've had Bill with us. He's the drummer of Sunfire. They're out of San Diego. Their new record, Faded. You can pick that one up right now. It's a good release. Every song on it's a good one. I listened to it, like I said, I listened to it all day long. I enjoyed that a lot. So, Bill, man, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks, buddy. It was great, man. Come back anytime.